Have you ever been pushing through pain, anxiety, or exhaustion, trying to keep everything together while silently wondering why life feels so overwhelming? Here's something most women are never told. Your hardest moments aren't signals or signs that you're broken. They're invitations to discover strength that you didn't know you had. Today, we're talking about how trauma, illness, and life's unexpected detours can become the very moments that reveal your inner resilience, and how learning to honor your story can become the beginning of real healing. It's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Jovonnie, helping women who are tired of pushing through pelvic pain, burnout, and emotional exhaustion finally understand what their bodies and life experiences are trying to tell them before they lose more years accepting survival mode as normal. But before we dive into this episode, y'all already know what time it is. Welcome to the Empowered Place, Empowered Lives podcast. Y'all, welcome to another episode of the Empowered Place, Empowered Lives podcast. And today's guest is someone whose journey will remind you just how powerful reinvention can be. Zulma left a career in accounting to pursue her passion for helping others, only to face breast cancer just months after graduating. Instead of giving up on her dream, she rebuilt her life, completed her master's degree at 50, and went on to create a therapy practice helping others heal from trauma, anxiety, and depression. Her story is proof that our hardest moments don't define us. They reveal the hero within us. Welcome to the Good Vibe Studio, Zulma.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, ma'am. Zulma, your story begins with a powerful turning point, leaving accounting to pursue therapy. What called you towards helping others in such a deep and meaningful way?
So my entire life, I had people coming to me and sharing their deep secrets and telling me like, I never shared it with anybody, and looking for my thoughts and my recommendations, my advice. And I was like, okay, I think that I inspire other people to open up and share with me. So I think I better start charging for it. So I went to school so I can charge to provide the service.
I think that's good because not everyone can find a trusted friend, adult, or person that they can really have a way to just open up and be willing to seek the advice, use the advice. And so I really feel like it's definitely a great opportunity to monetize and find meaningful and purposeful work in regards to helping other people, because purpose often whispers long before we have the courage to follow it. And so I'm just grateful for that. I have a life coaching certification, and I really enjoy helping people really bring context around what they're experiencing right now in their life. Sometimes having them recall and reflect on what they've already been through to get them to where they are today, but how to move forward. So I love the difference when it comes from therapy and it comes from life coaching. I like the present and how do we move forward. And I think it's so valuable to have therapists to really go to the past, find out that root cause, what was really going on, what's unprocessed trauma or experiences that you haven't truly wrapped your mind around, understanding around, to even figure out how that's now showing up in your life. So just 2 months after graduating, you were diagnosed with breast cancer. What was going through your mind in that moment, and how did you begin processing something so life altering? And how did you even know that breast cancer, was even knocking on your doorsteps?
So when I found a lump on my breast, and I was still in school. So I was waiting. And by the way, this is not medical advice for anybody listening. You need to do what is best for you. But I found the lump in the breast, and I was still in school. And I wasn't working. So I was like, okay, well, I graduate and then I'm going to get a job and then I'm going to get it checked. Well, what happened was that I graduated in December, and I had friends encouraging me to use social services in the state of Nevada, which I didn't know they were there and available to me. And I had a mammogram through the Mammo Van. It's a service for women who don't have insurance or are underinsured in Nevada, and I was referred to a doctor. The doctor referred me to a surgeon, but I was in la la land. Like I was like, oh, okay. Like they keep asking for all this testing, but nobody was saying anything until the surgeon finally he did an ultrasound on my breast. He said, I don't like what I'm seeing. I'm going to do a biopsy. I was like, all right, let's do a biopsy. But I was in la la land. Like denial is such a powerful tool. I was like, oh, let's do a biopsy, right? So, but when I was going to get the result of the biopsy, I had login. I started my research. So in one of the communities that I logged in, it says like, okay, first of all, go with a friend, because if it is cancer, you're not going to remember anything after they say that word. Write the questions. If it's cancer, you ask you ask your friend to ask these questions. If it's not cancer, you ask your friend to ask these questions. So I did that, and it was one of the, in addition to hear the word cancer, the way that I found out was so traumatic, because the surgeon didn't even make eye contact with me. He was looking at the results and he was like, yeah, I was right, you had cancer. Like it kind of like he had this God complex and he was just proving himself right. And it is true, I don't remember anything that happened after that. So my friend grabbed my notepad and she started asking all the questions and she wrote the answers down. And I started thinking, my first reaction was like, why me? Right? Like it was like, I have like, why is this happening to me? But then I started thinking, I don't have children of my own, but at that time my mom was still alive. And I started thinking, well, I do have a mom and I have a sister, I have nieces and I have girlfriends. If it wasn't me, would I prefer that it was one of them? And the answer is no. So I move away from that victim mentality of why me, and I changed the question to why not me? And now in this new mind frame, I had a decision to make. I can sit in the corner and cry myself to die, or I can stand up and fight. Spoiler alert, here I am. I've been winning the fight for 14 years. But it's like, the first reaction was like that victim mentality, but I snapped out of that pretty quick.
Thank you for sharing that. So I kind of want to get into something that you said. Denial is such a powerful tool. That really was a huge moment to reflect on. Something else that I really like that you talked about was some really good advice. Go with a friend and have the friend ready to ask those questions, whether they say it is cancer or whether they say it's not cancer. So many times I've had guests on the Empire Place, Empire Lives podcast that talk about having a friend with you when you're going in there to talk to them about debilitating pain, pelvic pain, heavy periods, heavy flows, really life altering that symptoms that your body is speaking to you, that plays a huge impact on how your quality of life kind of goes. And They always say have a friend with you, so then they know that you, one, have a witness, but two, you have someone that can advocate on what your real life experience looks like in the event that that healthcare professional doesn't take your pain serious, your symptoms serious, and they don't do any exploration, investigating, or what are the next steps to truly figure out how to really help you. And so it was really beautiful to be able to hear. And you're not the first person to come and share your empowering experience with cancer on the podcast, but it is the first time that I've heard bring a friend to ask the questions and whether or not it ends up being what you might suspect. So that denial being a powerful tool, huge, but being able to have those that friend there and the role that they played was a little slightly different in the strategy. And I think that's really valuable. 14 years still fighting. I love that you talked about your mindset shift too, because that's a big thing, Zulma. You go from denial, then you go to a diagnosis with a healthcare professional that's lacking interpersonal skills. You see how I phrased that one there. And you go into a why me? And then you think about who else it could be that you love and care about. Then it goes to why not me, which is such a profound perspective to shift. And I feel like the moment we stop asking why me and start asking what can I learn from this, how can I make myself and others better from this, that's when the real healing begins. For women listening who feel overwhelmed by illness or trauma, how can they begin shifting their perspective without dismissing the very real pain they're experiencing, Zulma?
So I think you mentioned something crucial. Like in life, we are either happy or we are learning something, right? Like, so it's like, what is it that I can learn from this situation that I'm going through? And the answers are so different for everybody, but it's like that you are stronger than you are giving yourself credit for, that you wouldn't want your child to be going through this, so you rather take the pain on behalf of your child or your mother or whomever. That it's like, if you can learn a lesson, what is the lesson hidden in that challenge that you are facing, then it's not, I think that that will help us welcome the challenge. Because when we don't find a sense to what we are experiencing, it's kind of like, ew, we get stuck in that why me thing. When we start learning about, like, it could be that you start doing research about that condition, and you're going to create a movement in your city because there is no enough information. I mean, like, I think that if we look at the bigger picture, like that movement MAD was created, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, is because one mom lost a child to a driver who was drunk, and that now is a movement that is in all the states. So it's like we can find purpose in the pain. So I think that finding that purpose in the pain is paramount to continue to move forward.
I agree. That's exactly what I did, Zulma. This was a really good example with using Mothers Against Drunk Driving, with that MAD and creating a movement because a mom lost a child due to drunk driving. And so finding that purpose in the pain, that was the whole reason why I created Forward Vibrations. Being diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovary syndrome, and they found 2 small fibroids at the time of my surgery in March 2020. That's when I realized in that 4-hour surgery that lifestyle matters, and that debilitating pelvic pain that I felt that nearly almost took my life while I was driving. It was a way to say, what's happening, what's going on in my body. Oh, it's how I'm living. What are the ways that I wasn't even considering? being in survival mode that's fueling this deep-rooted inflammation that's leading to diagnoses that I've never heard about. And it was forward vibrations. What's this movement? Now that I have this insight, now that I understand how lifestyle plays a huge part in it, now that I understand a little bit more about what fuels inflammation and all the hidden habits that I was living and the rhythms that I was living to that just didn't align with a whole person loving and caring for themselves in the best way possible. And it was just like, I got to find a movement forward. I can't allow this to take over me, be able to just see myself through an identity of a diagnosis, but see myself that, yes, I might have been diagnosed because my body was in a state of dis-ease at this particular point in time. But how do I move myself away from that state? How do I go from surviving to thriving? How do I then bring other people along on that journey and help others as well? And so right now, if you are all tuned in to the Empire Place, Empire Lives podcast, I want to ask you a quick question. And that question is, do you ever feel like you're doing everything right, but you're still stuck in pelvic pain, stuck in fatigue, brain fog? What if I told you that your biggest disruptors aren't your hormones, but they're rooted in your habits, how you're living? I created the Spot Your Triggers quiz to help you uncover the top 3 hidden disruptors fueling inflammation in your body. Things most women overlook every single day. It takes less than 5 minutes, more like 2 minutes. And trust me, once you see the results, you'll understand exactly where to start your healing. Check the show notes because this episode of the Empire Place, Empire Lives podcast is sponsored by Forward Vibrations. So here we go, Zulma. We talked about that mindset shift. We talked about creating a movement by purposing your pain, putting purpose on your pain and understanding that that movement will not only break free you, but can also help others break free as well. And they don't even know that they have that hidden power within. One of the things I love about your work is how you help clients become the expert of their own trauma. Why is that so important in the healing process?
Because trauma is so subjective. Like, who am I to judge that this is traumatic and this is not? What is traumatic to you? The 2 of us can be in the same car and we got into a car accident, and that can be traumatic for me and not traumatic for you. So, or vice versa. So it's like, okay, I consider therapy as a teamwork, right? Like, you are the driver and I'm in the passenger seat. I am the GPS. But if you're not ready to turn the ignition on and drive, we are not going anywhere. So it's like you are in charge and you know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what is traumatic for you, what is the present to you. So it's like I listen and I give that back to you with my own perspective. And it's like, oh, have you considered blah, blah, blah? Oh, oh, I never look at it that way. Okay. But it does not to diminish your trauma or your challenge, is for you to understand that I get it.
And I really like the analogy you used about we can be in the same car, but if you don't put the key in the ignition, we're not going anywhere. And so I really like that you talked about allowing them to own their story, own their experiences, in order for you to be able to provide them with that perspective shift, but it doesn't dismiss or diminish exactly what they've been able to share, because you are the authority of your own story, not your diagnosis, not your trauma, not anyone else. So I really appreciate that. And you also told me that authenticity being the bridge that builds trust with clients. How does showing your own humanity create deeper healing for others, Zulma?
I think that so I don't take trust for granted, right? Like I need to earn your trust. But if you don't trust me, we are not going to get anywhere, right? Like so by me showing up how I am, so I been keeping it clean for the show because we talked beforehand about this, but I am the swearing therapist. So I will be swearing in our session, and I think that allows, because I'm showing myself authentically, so that creates a bridge for you to do the same. We are talking about deep trauma. Like one time I had a lady, she has been in a car accident, and an old lady she was telling me about the firefighters. She was trapped in the car, so they need to cut the car, and she said, and there was this firefighter, he was holding my hand. It was a very dramatic moment. And I look at her and I said, was he hot? And he started laughing. She started laughing. And I said, because I'm looking for a sugar daddy, girlfriend. Maybe the firefighter who was holding your hand is my sugar daddy. I got her, right? Because I'm not diminishing your trauma. I am lightening the mood so that we can start working on it, right? And these are things that they come natural to me. Like I was like, she was telling me about him holding her hand and blah, and I'm like, okay, let me ask, because I'm really curious. Was he hot? Like, because I never had a firefighter holding my hand, so I want to know. So by creating that lightness in that moment, we are able to go deeper into the trauma, and that's where the healing happens, right?
And I think that's really valuable, like creating likeness in the moment, being able to really realize that we're going to get to heavier things, but if we can trust each other with the space, with light things, we're able to then move that trust into heavier things. And when things get hard, we start building that trust. And so I really like that example about the firefighter being hot and really just creating that natural dialogue. Because, when you're in a place where you might be talking to a stranger or someone to get help, there's no familiarity already there. And so you have to provide and create and prime a space of safety and comfort for people to be able to share. And so being able to laugh, being able to take something light really does help prepare the moment for high value when it comes down to the shifts. And I really think that that's really valuable. And I'm really grateful that your clients are able to have you do those things. So your story challenges the idea that it's ever too late to start over. You went back to school, built a new career, and you created your practice later in life. What message do you hope women hear about reinvention?
So when I got diagnosed with a cancer, I was on track to do my master's degree. So clearly I had to take care of my health. So I didn't start my master's until I was 50. So my motto is, I had cancer, cancer didn't have me. And that can be applied to any challenge that anybody is facing, because it's all in the perspective, right? Like nobody would have blamed me if I didn't go for my master's, because, oh my God, you had cancer. It's like, okay, I had cancer, but now I'm feeling better. So I'm going back to school. And then at 60, I went to celebrate my birthday in Hawaii from Las Vegas. And I was like, okay, I need to figure it out how to live by the beach, which I couldn't afford it in America. So I moved to Panama. So it's like, so now I'm living in an apartment and I'm hitting the waves and I can see the ocean from my balcony. But it's like, I think that age is nothing but a number. So it's like, oh, don't tell me you are too old to go back to school, because I did it. And English is not my first language. What is your excuse? right? Like, so just tell me you are not as passionate about it, whatever. But I think that what really, when we find our passion, it is paramount that we find a way to make it, like, to honor that. Well, I don't know what my passion is. Your passion is whatever you will do if money wasn't an issue. So whatever you will do for free, that's where your passion is. I've been helping people all my entire life for free. Like, clearly I have, and I think I have, which I discovered it once I became a therapist, this gift from God where I can hear to what's not being said. So it's like you are talking, and then when I give it back to you, I'm like, oh, and you're like, oh yeah, you get me, right? Like, we all have something that is a gift, and it's our mission, if you would, to share it with the world, because nobody can do it. There are millions of therapists, but nobody does therapy the way that I do, because there is only one Zulma. Thank God. I don't think the world can handle more of me. But it's like, we are all unique, and we need your perspective, my perspective, in order to make the world a better place. So it's like, if you want to go back to school, go for it. If you want to change jobs, don't leave your job, but start looking for another one. If your work environment is toxic, what are you doing there? Life is too short to be not taking care of, like, what is important, which is yourself. We cannot give from an empty vessel. And especially for women, we have a tendency to put ourselves last. And it's like, as you were mentioning, like, oh, you discover all the habits that were creating this inflammation, and that wasn't aligned with you anymore. So you did what you needed to do in order to modify that. That is self care. So if you are not taking care of you, well, I don't have time. Exactly. You had to make the time. Because God forbid, if your kid had an emergency, you were going to drop everything and you're going to make the time. So it's not about having time, it's about carving time, because we are all busy. But if you find what is fulfilling for your soul and you take care of you, then you're going to be a better mom and a better partner and a better daughter and a better everything, because you're honoring yourself. And it's never too late to do that.
It's never too late. I think something that really stood out to me is when you were talking about women putting themselves last. But if there was an emergency when it comes to someone that they love and care about, they would make the time and create the opportunity to show up and be there. I also like that when you talked about self-care, for me, Zuma, that journey after being diagnosed, understanding what my lifestyle was creating in regards to this chaotic havoc inside of my body and my nervous system, that self-care and the actions I started to take through that forward vibration movement to start healing and changing my lifestyle and addressing the inflammation and getting out of survival mode, it was self-care that then turned into self-love. Because the more I started caring for myself, it created this sense of love for myself that I never felt like I ever had. And it was at a point, Zoma, initially when that shift started to happen, because let's be real, just like you said, denial is a powerful tool. When you first get a diagnosis, or you first allow reality to really set in on what's really happening with your body and what's going on after having surgery, there's a moment that sometimes there's shame. There's a moment where there's sometimes a set of depression, anxiety, not knowing what life is going to look like now that you have this new insight about your body and the state that your body is in and the health and the cost of inaction. the cost of you staying the same, the cost of you not doing something different, the cost of you not valuing and prioritizing your well-being to start navigating these different avenues of what healing looks like for you, because it's your healing journey. I really feel like, Zulma, that if I wasn't intentional on how I showed up, if I didn't see a little picture of myself, of that little child back in the day as the baby Jovonnie, I don't know if I would have ever found the courage, the confidence, and the strength to realize that I was worth the healing journey that I needed to be on. And I feel like at that moment, seeing my baby picture, seeing me smile, it was as if it was that inner child in me needed an advocate, needed someone to show up in a different way that's never shown up before to truly start healing. And that is something I feel like really needed to shift. And so if you're listening to this podcast episode right now, and this conversation sparks something in you, and you're ready to uncover what your body and life experiences are trying to tell you, book your healing breakthrough session to finally understand what's happening in your life regarding survival mode inflammation. Check the show notes. The link is in the description. Remember, Forward Vibrations is the sponsor of today's episode. Now let's get back into the conversation with Zulma. Zulma, we already know that age is not a deadline. It's a invitation, and it's an invitation to whatever you'd like it to be. And the fact that you talked about there's only one Zulma, there's plenty of therapists, there's only one swearing therapist named Zulma in this world that's impacting people's lives when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to depression, when it comes to trauma, and helping people really connect those things, process those things, and then find a high vibrational space to be able to lead their lives in a new direction that they're worthy of. Many women feel stuck because of fear, responsibilities, or past setbacks. What would you say to someone who feels like they've missed their chance?
Ooh, that doesn't exist. Oh my God. Like, again, you're barking at the wrong tree. So here is the thing. What will happen if you try it and it didn't work out for you? Okay, you're back where you started. But you are not going to be thinking, what if? I don't want to have regrets. So it's like, oh, well, what if I started my bachelor? Like, okay, so let's say social work didn't work out for me. Okay, I can go back to accounting. My brain didn't erase the information about how to do accounting because I went to school. It only expanded, right? Like with more knowledge. So it's like, okay, you try it, it doesn't work out. You are still winning because you gather information of what not to do. So it's like whatever you have in your heart to do, go ahead and do it, because there is no one else that can do it your way. So again, all of us can go to school, but all of us graduated and all of us are providing therapy in a different manner. And that is the beauty of we all being so different, because we are all contributing to make the world better. So it's like, if you feel stuck, you're stuck in your head, take action, find out that class. Okay, so you want to do a podcast. Okay, be a guest somewhere. Like I started being a guest, then I created my own show. And do it because you want to. I have a lot of fun being a guest and doing my show. It's like I enjoy it. It doesn't matter if people are listening or not. I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because I have something to share and I want to share it. So it's like whatever is in your mind is there for a reason. and you have 100% track record of being successful at overcoming your challenges. How do I know? Because you're here. I don't need to know what your challenges were, but whatever challenges you've been through could not take you out. So why is this particular challenge different than the other ones? You're going to overcome this one too. So it's like, all right, look, my dad got remarried at 73. My siblings were like, no, you're crazy, don't get married. I'm like, Dad, you're happy, go ahead, get married. I'm thinking, how long are you going to live? My dad celebrated 24 wedding anniversary. He was the one who ended up being the longest one in the family being married, because he died at 97. So why not get married at 73? But he didn't know he was going to have 24 years to live with his wife, right? We need to, nobody has tomorrow guaranteed. So we need to plan as if we're going to live forever, but we had to live as if tomorrow we are not going to be here. So it was like, well, that's so dramatic. Yes, if you want to make it dramatic, it is. But if you take it from the perspective of like, I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. So then I'm going to live today to the fullest, because I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. So to our listeners, it's like, if you have a desire to do something, God put it in there for a reason. Find a way to honor that. And be like my dad. Look, I'm 60. I still have 13 years to find my soulmate, according to my dad's example. So I'm not in a rush.
Plan like you're going to live forever, but live like you may not see tomorrow. I absolutely love that one, Zulma. That was really good. And I also like the reminder that you have a 100% success rate of overcoming your challenges. It may not have looked like how you wanted to overcome it, but you overcame your challenges. And so you will do the same on the next one. So I enjoyed that one too. And I like that you also said that you are always winning when you are gathering information. So there's never a time that you lose, because you're always gaining some type of information. You're always in a state of learning.
Right. Even.
And so, oh no, go ahead, Zulma.
So, no, even if it doesn't work out, you gather information, so you're still winning. So just go for it. What are you? Life is too short. Go do it now. Go do it now. And I want to reinforce the fact that at the time,
the longest person married in your family, and everybody was like, "You're too old. Why would you even do that?" And now he has the record right now for being married happily and living all the way until the end. And I love that aspect too. Zulma, when you think about your work
97,
trauma,
right?
97. When you think about your work with trauma, anxiety, and depression, what's one thing you wish more people understood about healing from emotional pain?
That emotional pain is so real, and we don't talk about it enough. So when I was diagnosed with cancer, oh my God, what can I do for you? When I was depressed, it was get over it, right? Like, so I think that we cannot see it. I think that depression and anxiety are kind of like the diabetes of mental health, because it's like so chronic and most of us go through it. But it's like it's a cultural in the society is telling you like, oh, what are you anxious about? What are you depressed about? Get over it. And it's like, wait a minute, these are real. So they need to be treated as such. If you had diabetes, I'm not going to show up with a dozen donuts and tell you, oh, it's going to be okay. So if you have anxiety, why I'm going to dismiss it and tell you that, oh, get over it, you are okay, right? Like, so I think a lot of information, we need more information about a lot of people call these illnesses a first world issue, but these are real. So don't be ashamed to look for help, because if you had issues with your heart, you're going to go to a cardiologist. So if you have issues with your mental health, why not go to a therapist or a psychiatrist or a coach? Like, you don't need to do it alone.
I'm grateful that you stated that reminder that you don't have to go through this alone. And you need to seek help. Like, help is there. There's so many people, and you just have to find your right person to help you navigate what you're going through in the way that you feel guided and led to get into it. I also love the reminder that emotional pain is real despite not being able to see it. And a lot of times when people are dealing with mental health, emotional pain, depression, anxiety, sometimes you see it. Sometimes people are so good at masking it and suffering in silence because they're so used to just showing up, pushing through pain, being resilient, that they never share what they're actually going through. And sometimes the cost of not addressing that emotional pain, addressing that depression, addressing that anxiety, it not only provides more issues and pressure on your nervous system, it also starts triggering other issues inside of your body to start happening, to where you're still not able to really heal the way you want to, and you stay stuck in this survival mode state. And so I'm really grateful that you reminded people that they can give themselves permission to heal, give themselves permission to get support. But most importantly, I hope they know that they're worth it. And I think that's a beautiful thing. You've integrated traditional therapy with other healing modalities like the Reiki when you were diagnosed with cancer. Why do you believe that healing sometimes requires more than one approach? And can you share with the listeners what that approach looked like for you going through your own breast cancer journey?
Yes. So, yes, because I don't think there is only one way of healing. I think that everything complements each other. So, Reiki, there was a center in Las Vegas that offered Reiki for cancer patients. I enrolled to every Reiki that I could, every Reiki session that I could get. I also did yoga. There was yoga for cancer survivors in the same place. So I integrated yoga, and I taken medication is from Argentina, and it's called alchemy medication. Is kind of like the homeopathic medication, but instead of plants, is based off of rocks and minerals. And I believe in that. So it's like I was the doctor, like, you do whatever the doctors are telling you to do, but this is going to help with the side effects of your treatments. And I was like, okay. I think that the placebo effect, right? Like, whatever you believe in is going to work for you. So, like, if I tell you, like, oh no, you do this, say no, I'm going to provide you with the information and I let you make your own decisions. For example, so I had my surgery and radiation here, but then I moved back to Argentina, continue my treatment there. They were like, okay, you had to do chemo. And again, this is not medical advice. This is what I did. This is what worked for me at the time. And I said, what are my chances? And they were 50-50. I said, no, you got to do better than that. You got to give me an 80-20. I'm not going to poison my entire body just in case of one cancer cell was missed, right? Like, so I had to sign releases and talk to the hospital attorneys and whatever. But all of the sudden, after I signed everything that I was not going to sue them if the cancer came back, All of a sudden, they came back with an alternative treatment. Oh, really? So, see, we need to advocate for ourselves. We need to learn how to do that, because otherwise, and I was risking not being taken as a patient because I was not following the hospital protocol. But don't tell me this is the only way, and then you come out with an alternative when I refuse, which the alternative ended up being immunotherapy, not chemotherapy. So it's like, oh, see that there is another way. So it's like, I encourage all our listeners to find information. Don't depend on Google University to create more anxiety, but just go online to gather more information, listen to podcasts, inform yourself so you can make an informed decision. When I was fighting to not have the chemo, it wasn't because I was going to lose my hair. It was because I was going to poison my entire body, and they didn't even know why they were doing that, because there was no sign that a cancer cell was missed. But a lot of people feel like, well, it's the doctor, so we're going to do what the doctors. Yes, it is the doctor. And my oncologist in Argentina, she said, if it was me, I will do it. I said, with all due respect, it's not you. When you have your own breast cancer, you do what is best for you. This is my body. If I don't protect it, who will? Right? Like, so when I became a very active member of my medical team, we are making decisions together. I want to know why we are doing this. I will do it if you inform, you give me the information and it clicks in my brain. Like, it has to make sense to me. And I never miss a treatment, but it had to make sense to me. So inform yourself so you can ask questions, so that you're not bothering the doctor. It is his job or her job to provide you with the information.
And not only that, providing you with the information, but I really like that reminder of be a part of your own medical team. Like, you are a part of the decision making. You are a part of having the discussion on what this looks like. What are the different avenues? Asking for more insight, but at the same time, doing your own research, understanding what it is that is going on in your body, taking that data. And I think that's always important, because not only are you a part of your medical team and you get a say so on how things are going, and you get to choose what aligns best for you, and what advice, because sometimes it might not be the first doctor, it might be the second, the third, or maybe even the 10th that really you feel like you trust with your body, with your treatment plan, and with the diagnosis. And so I also love that you talked about advocating for yourself, because I think that's really important, because if you don't advocate for yourself, who is really there to help you? And yes, you can bring a friend. Yes, you can have family members, but you have to be your priority. You have to be your number one person advocating for what it is that you believe you need for you. And so I really like that you talked about that. Something else that I wanted to touch on is I like that you talked about the different healing modalities that were free for cancer patients, the yoga, the Reiki, which is energy healing work. I also like that you broke down what alchemy medication was, dealing with the rocks and the minerals, as well as saying, you went with a surgery, you got some regular treatment, but you also went alternative medication routes, because that's what aligned best to you and how you felt like you needed to protect your body, but at the same time heal your body. And I kind of want to get to this placebo effect. You talked about the placebo effect and belief, and I think belief is huge, Zulma, because when you are diagnosed with something that doesn't have a cure, it's really hard for people to shift a belief, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, shift that mindset, shift and create a new identity that allows you to show up and advocate, that allows you to do the research with a clear and sound mind, that allows you to believe that there's still hope and there's another avenue or pathway that's possible, and not the fact that there's just no cure. And so I'm going to write myself off as this is going to be the end all be all. Speak to the person that is listening and they're like, "Ooh, Zulma, I know someone that has recently been diagnosed," or "I know someone who, cancer didn't end the way we wanted it to end, and we believed for the good things." What has to go with that belief? That has to just, like, you can't not have the belief, like something else has to go with it. What are those other components that need to go along with someone believing that something is possible for them when it's dealing with a hard diagnosis or a dis-ease or a chronic condition or a state of just overwhelm when it comes to healing, that needs to be paired with that belief?
So I discovered the alchemy medication because of a friend of mine who knew somebody who had cancer on their face and it could not be operated on, and the cancer was cured with this medication. So I was like, oh, interesting. So I want to know more, right? Like, so I talked to and it's prescribed by a doctor. So I'm not saying just go with the, like, again, do your own research, make an informed decision about this. But if you don't believe it's going to help you, it could be the best medication in the world and it's not going to help you. So it's like, I mean, the mind is so powerful that if you do believe like Reiki is going to help me and yoga is going to help me and changing my food habits is going to help me, everything, and the alchemy medication is going to help me, then they are going to help me. Even if they are just drops, some of them tasted really bad, so I know that was not water, but even if it was just water, it's going to help me because I am believing in it. And the opposite is true too. If I don't believe in it, it's not going to help me. It doesn't matter that you save another person, right? Or cure another person of their cancer. So Louise Hay, something you had to go inside.
I think that's really good because
So you
it
need
has
to
to be almost
change
that
from the
radical.
inside, because
It has to be that radical belief that what's possible, this can heal, and the mechanisms that I'm choosing, I'm going all in on them. And even if it comes to a point where they're not working, what does my research, what are the next steps, what other data did I have, what else have I learned about this to now try something different? And it's just not giving up. So I think that radical belief is something that people really need when they want a radical shift and a radical change in their reality. And you got to be ready to do something different and not expect just something to happen and you do nothing about it. And so I think that's really important. You often talk about helping people discover their internal hero. What does that really mean? And how can someone begin connecting with that part of themselves?
what it means is that I do believe that so I'm not special. I'm not a hero because I overcame cancer. I think that we are all heroes in our own way. I am special because we're all special, but not special in the sense of like, oh, I'm the chosen one. Like, no, we are all the heroes in our own lives, and we have to connect with that internal, with our baby image, right? And love that baby so much that you are gonna do whatever it takes to save that baby, right? And I think that the best way to start that journey, especially if you didn't have a health challenge to wake you up, is to start getting to know yourself. Like, I have clients who don't know what fun is, what is going to bring them joy, because they overwork. And it's like, okay, it's discover what that is. Like, look in the mirror and start talking to the person. So how are we going to fall in love with ourselves if we ignore ourselves? We don't look ourselves in the mirror. If we are looking in the mirror is to discover our blemishes, it's like, oh my God, there is a zit and I want to pop it. Look into the mirror and say, oh my God, you have beautiful eyes, or I love your smile, or you are beautiful, you are a good person, whatever it might be. How are you going to love yourself if you don't get to know yourself? So we need to start learning who we are now, not what mom and dad told us, not what society is telling us we are, but who are we in our soul, inside. And then that's a way to connect with our inner hero, because it's like, oh, here you are. Tell me what you need. How can I honor you? And then present that to the world.
Thank you, Zulma. Getting to know yourself, that's huge, because it does take time, it does take effort, and it does take intention to truly get to know you, all of you. And I honestly believe that not all of us have created the space, the time, the confidence, and the courage to truly get to know ourselves in a deep level. And I feel like that's the whole reason why when I started to take a different approach on how I take care of me and how I show up, that self-care leading into self-love, I had to also start recognizing things that I didn't know about myself, like the lack of boundaries, like people pleasing, and it all of those things I saw evidence and experiences in my childhood that I didn't even realize until adulthood. And it's like a lot of these experiences are rooted in childhood experiences, in trauma, in things that we haven't processed, with identities that we didn't even know we were giving ourselves. And just the simple thing that you talked about with your clients, with just helping them figure out, how do you even enjoy, how do you like having fun? Sometimes it's hard for people to realize that if they're so busy pushing through pain, pushing through life, showing up for everybody else, that you don't even know how to show up for you until you hit rock bottom, until you realize that survival mode has taken over, until you realize something has to change, because I'm not excited about living in this same cycle over and over and over, thinking that the way I'm living is normal when it's not. And so I really appreciate you reminding us that the hero you're searching for isn't outside of you. It's the version of you that refused to give up, that is waiting for you to love, care, give grace, and be available. If something or someone, let's say someone listening right now today, Zulma, feels broken, they feel lost or exhausted by life, what would you want them to remember about their own strength?
I wanted to remember that, again, like, they overcame challenges, but at the time that they overcame those challenges, they didn't even know how they did it. They just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So it's not about, because we're like, oh, I don't want to fall. It's not about not falling in life. It's about falling 7 times and getting up 8. So as far as you don't remain on the ground, that's what is important. So for anybody listening, my message is, if you woke up today, that means that your mission in life is not complete. Keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you're going to come on the other side of the challenge you're currently facing. I think it's so important that we don't get stuck, that we don't get paralyzed. As far as we are moving, we are going to get to the top of the mountain. It doesn't matter how fast we get there.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Zuma. So we're getting ready to get into the Vitality Sparks round. And so it's going to be quick, fast responses. I know we've had like a slight delay, so y'all just bear with us. But quick, fast responses on this last round. All right, you ready, Zuma?
As ready as I can be.
Here we go. A mindset practice that helped you most during cancer.
Asking why not me.
One myth about trauma recovery you wish would disappear.
It is possible to recover from trauma if you are willing to work on it.
A habit that helps you stay grounded today.
Going into the ocean, going in the water.
One word that defines resilience for you.
Perseverance.
What does the phrase internal hero mean to you in one sentence?
Wow. Loving yourself. That's what being your internal hero is.
All right. Give some advice to the girl dads, the father figures, the role models, the partners, the spouses, for those dealing with pelvic pain, fatigue, burnout, heavy periods, endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids. How can they better be a part of the healing journey and support system for these women?
Keep telling your story. Don't allow the naysayers to silence your voice. Your pain is real, and you need to find the adequate people to help you heal, even if it's not your internal circle. Don't allow anybody to silence your voice.
And what would you tell the dads, the brothers of those supporting women that are navigating through health challenges? What is your advice to the men?
Inform yourself. So a lot of times you feel as if just listening is not enough, but that's exactly what that person in your life needs. So although you might feel as if you're not doing enough, that's exactly what is needed of you. So ask, how can I help better? And then listen to the answer and follow that, even if you don't understand it.
I like that. Inform yourself and ask. If you could have a meal with any historical figure, who would it be and what would you all eat?
Ooh, um, I would like to meet with Jesus, and I will eat Argentinian barbecue, which is called asado, which is the best in the world.
I like it. Okay. Argentina barbecue with Jesus. Got it. Sounds good, Zuma. Let everybody know where they connect with you, where they can find you, um, and let them know. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Of course. My Instagram is the swearing therapist. My website is dragonflytherapyservices.net. Thank you so much for having me. I didn't even say one bad word like yay me.
You did not, and you still showed up as your authentic self, showing everybody who you are, who you help, but most importantly, telling your story and providing all the different lessons that you've learned along the way. Thank you, Zulma, so much for being an amazing guest on the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Y'all, if this conversation sparks something in you and you're ready to uncover what your body and life experiences are trying to tell you, book your healing breakthrough session so you can finally understand what's happening in your life regarding survival mode inflammation, because you deserve to discover the internal hero within you, to love yourself, care for yourself, but most importantly, go on your healing journey. It's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Jovonnie. Thanks for vibing with me, y'all.